So hello friends, welcome back to my channel Katta Saab, and today we'll discuss about a new concept on GST, that is time of supply, presented by CA Rahul Katta. Let's start. Now, what is the relevance of time of supply? Let's see. Let's suppose XYZ Limited is requiring to procure some oil drums, right? And the indenting department has issued a purchase requisition dated 10th June 2023 to the purchase department. Now, purchase department has issued a notice inviting tender on GEM portal dated 26th June, right? Now, the tenders have been opened on 20th July, and four parties have participated in the contract A, B, C, D and submitted their bid. Now, the lowest bid came out to be of the party C, right? So, as per the process, XYZ Limited has issued a supply order to C dated 31st July 2023. Now, C, being a manufacturer, procured the steels and process the steel and finished goods, right? So the actual removal of oil drums as per the order has taken place on 25th August, right? And he has issued an invoice on 2nd of September, while the XYZ Limited has paid to the to CE dated 17th October. You might all be looking that there are various events, right, where the whole process has been taken place. So what is the date of time, I mean when the C is liable to pay taxes? So the time of supply provision of goods, services or both tells about the actual point of time, when the liability to pay tax arises. That is, point of time the supplier or the receiver in case of RCM is liable to pay taxes, right? Okay, so let's start. Time of supply under GST, section 12, 13 and 14 of CGST Act. So first is section 12 for goods. So under section 12.2, that is under forward charge mechanism, where the supplier is liable to pay taxes to the government, right? So under section 12.2, the time of supply shall be the date of issue of invoice or the due date as per section 31, or the date of recording payment in books of accounts of supplier, or the date on which payment is credited in bank account of supplier, right? So the earlier of these shall be the time of supply, right? Now what is the due date as per section 31? Let's see. Where the movement of goods are involved, the invoice should be issued before or at the time of removal of goods, or in any other case, the delivery of goods or making goods available to the recipient. Now, there are cases where continuous supply of goods are required. For example, in a yearly contract, monthly repair and maintenance is carried out, right? So for that, some goods and services are required and billed on monthly basis. So the invoice should be issued before or at the time of issuance of periodical statement or receipt, right? Now, the government has, under notification number 66 oblique 2017 dated 15th November 2017, exempted the payment of GST on advance for goods. That is, no GST at the time of receipt of advance for the goods is leviable, right? So under forward charge mechanism, the time of supply is the date of issue or the due date as per section 31, right? No GST is required to be paid at the time of receipt of advance. Now section 12.13 says about the reverse charge mechanism. So the time of supply shall be the date of receipt of goods or recording payments in books of account of recipient, as the recipient is liable to pay the taxes, or the actual debit from his bank account of recipient, or 31st day from the date of supplier's invoice. The earlier of these three, these four shall be the time of supply. Now, for vouchers exchangeable for goods, sometimes you might be seeing that, for example, made a shopping from Trends, right? So they have issued a voucher. Now, if the voucher is identifiable at that point, that is, it is the supply is identifiable for which the voucher can be redeemed. If it is the case, then the date of issue of voucher shall be the time of supply. In any other case, for example, it is a coupon voucher for rupees 200 and you can purchase everything from that respective mall, right? So in this case, the supply is not identifiable, right? So the date of redemption of voucher shall be the time of supply. These are some residual cases, that is, if above does not work in any situation, then the time of supply is if the periodical return is filed, then the due date of such return, or in any other case, the date on which the taxes are paid, right? If in case of reverse charge mechanism, section 12(3), if the above events are unascertainable, then the time of supply shall be the date of entry of goods in books of accounts of recipient, right? So let's move on to next section, section 13, that is time of supply for services. Now, under section 13(2), forward charge mechanism, if the invoice is issued within the time specified under section 31 read with rule 47, if the invoice is issued within the time specified under this section, then the date of issue of invoice or the date of recording payment in books of accounts of supplier or actual credit in bank account of supplier, as the supplier is liable to pay the taxes, so these two dates shall be based on the supply, right? The earlier of these three shall be the time of supply. And if the invoice is not issued within the time specified under section 31, then the date of provision of service in place of invoice, and rest the two provisions are same, that is the date of recording payment in books of accounts of supplier or the actual credit in bank account of supplier. What is this date of recording? Date of recording, my dear friends, if the supplier has received the payment, right, received a check, so he have made an entry bank account debit to that debtor, right? So the date is, for example, 4 June, and he has actually placed the check in bank on 10th June, right? And the actual credit has taken place on 12th June. So of 4th June versus 12th June, right? So the case, so here the time of supply shall be 4th June, right? So these two dates have been separately given. Now, under what is the time specified under section 31 and rule 47? Let's see. As per section 31 read with rule 47, the invoice should be issued before the provision of service or within 30 days of provision of service. The invoice should be issued before the provision or within 30 days of provision of service. 45 days in case of bank, insurance, and BFC. Here also in case of continuous supply of services, invoice should be issued either on or before the due date of payment or before at the time of supplier receives the payment, right? The invoice should be issued either before the due date of payment or before or at the time supplier receives the payment, periodical payments, right? Section 13(3) tells about the reverse charge mechanism, that is the date of under the reverse charge mechanism, the time of supply shall be the date of recording payment in books of accounts of recipient, the date of actual debit in books of accounts in bank account of recipient, or 61 days from the supplier's invoice, right? The earlier of these three shall be the time of supply. Here also in case of vouchers exchangeable for services, section 13(4), if the supply for which the vouchers can be redeemed are identifiable at that time, that then the date of issue of such voucher. In any other case, the date of redemption of voucher. For example, if the vouchers clearly mentions that it can only be used for the purchase of, for example, clothing, jeans, shirts, etc. So in this case, the supply is identifiable, that is the uh, variables. So date of issue of such voucher shall be time of supply. Here also, in residual cases, if the above events are unascertainable, then the time of supply is the date of receipt of services in books of accounts of recipient. Now, residual cases, section 13.5. If all the above do not work in any other situation, then the time of supply is if the periodical return is filed, the date of such return. In any other case, the date on which the taxes are paid. Right? Now, let's move on to next section. Section 12.6 and 13.6. It tells about the addition in value by way of interest, late fee, penalty for delayed payment of consideration, etc. for goods and services. Now, if the original value has been enhanced by way of interest, late fee, etc., the time of supply for these payments shall be the date when which supplier received such addition in value. Receives. Let's move on to next section. Section 10, section 14. Change in rate of taxes. Example, if the services were exempt and now it has been taxed at the rate 5%, or earlier it was 18% and now it is 5%. Earlier it was 5%, now it is 28%. Earlier it was zero rated or nil rated, now it is 18%. Now, and any of these events which we have studied have fallen between these two change of rates, right? Now, the section 14 tells that, for example, this is the change in rate of tax, right? This is the change in rate of tax, and it is majorly dependent on two events, right? Any of two events have occurred before the change in rate of tax, then old rate shall be applicable. Or if any of two events, these events, issue of invoice, supply of goods and services, or receipt of payment, if any of these events have taken before change in rate of tax, then old rate shall be applicable. And any of these three events, any of these two events have occurred after change in rate of tax, then new rate shall be applicable. And the time of supply shall be earlier of date of issue of invoice or date of payment. In this case also, the time of supply shall be the earlier of date of issue of invoice or date of issue of payment. Let's take an example. If the supply has taken before the change in rate of tax, invoice has also been issued before, but the payment has received after change in. So my dear friends, tell that what would be the time of supply. Here, two events, supply and issue of invoice, has taken place before the change in rate of tax. So the rate shall be old rate, and the time of supply shall be earlier of invoice or payment. Here only invoice is there because we do not have to look date of payment here. So date of invoice, right? In next example, supply taken before, invoice after, and receipt of payment before the change in rate of tax. So here two events are date of payment and supply, right? So here also old rate, and the time of supply shall be the date of invoice or payment whichever is earlier. Here date of payment is only there as invoice is issued after the change in rate of tax. So date of payment is time of supply. Next case, supply before, invoice after, receipt of payment after. So here two events have taken place after the change in rate of tax. So as per the provision, two events have been taken after the change in rate of tax, right? So new rate shall be applicable, right? So the time of supply shall be now new rate, and time of supply shall be earlier of, here both dates are given, so time of supply shall be the earlier of invoice or payment. right? Next case, supply after, invoice after, receipt before. So here also new rate, as two events have taken place after change in rate of tax, and here date of invoice is time of supply. After before, so new rate as two events after change in rate of tax, and uh, date of payment is time of supply, right? Now in last case, the supply taken place after, but invoice and payments were received before the change in rate of tax. So here old rate shall be applicable, and earlier of invoice or payment is time of supply, right? Now let's take these examples. A Limited provides services to B Limited on 10th June, right? A Limited issues the invoice for the services on 15 June. Invoice has been issued at 15 June. Payment is received in the bank account on 20th June and recorded on 30th June. Now, as per services, now as per the provision of section 13(2), if the invoice is issued within 30 days, that is here 15 June, within the 30 days of provision of services. So here the date of issue of invoice or the date of getting payment in bank account of supplier, or date of recording payment in books. So here the time of supply shall be earlier of this and this, that is 15 June, right? Let's move on to next example. The services have been provided on 10th June. A Limited issues the invoice on 15 July, right? But it is beyond 30 days. So payment is received in bank account on 20th June and book recorded in books of accounts on 30th June, right? So here invoice is issued after 30 days. So the time of supply shall be the date of completion of service, or the date of receiving payment in bank account of supplier, or the date of recording payment in books of accounts. So here the time of supply shall be earlier of these three dates, that is the date of completion of service, right? Let's move on to next example. A Limited provides services on 10th June. A Limited issues the invoice on 7th July, that is within 30 days. Payment received in bank account on 20th June and recorded in books on 30th June, right? So here invoice is issued within 30 days, that is the time of supply shall be this, that is the time of supply here shall be that 7th July or 20th June or 30th June, earlier of these three dates, that is 20th June, right? If this case was for goods, then the date of invoice shall be the time of supply, right? So I hope that you all have understood the concept of time of supply, section 12, 13 and 14 of CGST Act, and I would attach the link of PPT after 5 to say 7 days. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel Katta Saab. And if you want any other videos on any concept of GST, accountancy or direct taxation, please do let me know in the comment section, and thank you.